Greetings, guys, gals, non-binary pals, and welcome back to another video. A while back, I made a Facebook account where I have disguised myself as a middle-aged white Christian mother who lives in Austin, Texas, and graduated from some, Christian school in the area. My cover photo is some mountains with the quote, "My heart will sing, how great is our God," because I wanted to infiltrate some groups, because Facebook has a lot of groups that just focus on some ridiculous things, and I wanted to infiltrate because I love making videos about these Facebook groups. And one of those groups that I infiltrated, that I have made a video on a while back, is Christian parents of LGBTQ children. And basically this group is just a bunch of Christian parents of LGBTQ children, obviously, who love to play the victim card and come into this group and just cry about how difficult it is for them to have a queer child and just like to vent about it or ask for advice. And I just think that it's so interesting. And a lot of these parents, they all kind of sit on different points of the spectrum of some of them have disowned their kids, and then others are I'm respectful to their faces, but this is really difficult for me. And I think that it is worth looking at. It is worth talking about. So that's what we're doing today. We're going to have a look at some Christian parents of LGBTQ children and just see how hard it is for them to go through life with a queer child. I'm asking for as many that feel lead to join me and pray over the next 2 days. My daughter is flying out on Christmas to spend a week with a female she has met online, flying out to Canada. She tells me they are friends, but considering I went to this friend's Facebook page, she is totally a lesbian, and the fact they will be sharing a motel for the whole week. My daughter has not been in a lesbian relationship before, considering she was married and then in another male-female relationship before she started down this path. But she lives with me and we drive her everywhere. She needs to go. I feel pretty certain she's not made that step yet. I want to pray that God intervenes and the Holy Spirit directs her step during this trip. I need prayer warriors, please. I feel this trip, if it goes as they plan, can open the doors deeper and Satan will gain more of a stronghold. We're all fighting so hard. This is so funny for numerous reasons. Firstly, your daughter has been married before, so I assume she's an adult. She actually is. This is confirmed. She is 31 years old. So she is fully capable of making these decisions and doing as she wishes. And secondly, she's not out. So you don't know if she is queer. She's just going on a trip with a woman who happens to be queer. And you actually don't even know that. You're just she's totally a lesbian. Does it say that anywhere? Or is it a vibe you're getting? Are you jumping to conclusions? Where is this assumption coming from? And since when is it gay to go on holiday with your friend? I platonically go on holiday with friends all the time. I platonically share a bed with friends all the time. They can be straight, they can be queer, it doesn't matter. You can have friends. I just did a whole 3-month trip with one of my straight friends and we shared a bed together whenever it was cheaper. It doesn't mean anything. Just because your daughter's friend is gay doesn't mean that she is. And even if she is, it doesn't actually impact you personally in any way, shape, or form. So I'm gonna need you to take some deep breaths and just let her be an adult and make her own decisions. I'm not sure what to do. I hadn't seen my daughter in months. She lives 1,800 miles away. And when we went to see her and had dinner with her a couple weeks ago, she let us know that she wanted us to call her by they/them pronouns or she would feel disrespected and unloved. She left the evening crying and wouldn't respond to texts. I did tell her that I was sad how the evening ended and that I needed to think and write her an email. She responded that she wasn't in a place to talk and would look for my email. I took over a week, but finally got my thoughts in writing and sent her the email. She's had it for 5 days now and is still not talking or texting me. Anyway, I feel very strange because this is the first Christmas that she's not speaking to me, although it's the third Christmas since she made her non-binary lesbian announcement and hasn't been home. I've sent a few texts letting her know I love her and I'm thinking about her, with no response. Also sent a Christmas card via snail mail. We normally send her money via Venmo for Christmas, but I don't know what to do since she's not speaking to us. Do I just send the money as usual? I feel strange about doing that. She's still speaking to her brother and to my parents, her grandparents, but not me or my husband. Sad face. Considering you are sitting here using the incorrect pronouns a lot, might I add. You said she, her so many times. It felt like more than necessary how many times you dropped she, her in this paragraph. I think that maybe that's your problem. Like, you sent an email to explain how you feel, and it seems as though you said in that email that you don't respect them or their identity. And you're just going to carry on using the incorrect pronouns when talking about them. And that's probably why you haven't received a response. These parents are so good at leaving out context. Like, I can read between the lines here and I can tell that the respect isn't there. And they did already specify, if you don't use the right pronouns, I'm going to feel disrespected and unloved. So you're kind of just doing that, and that's maybe why they're not talking to you, whereas the other family members they are talking to are respecting them. So maybe include that part in the post. Tell me what your email said and I'll be able to very easily tell you the problem. This has been a tough week. I laid both my parents to rest Tuesday. I'd invited our daughter, who proclaimed herself as gay and left home close to 2 years ago. She refuses to talk to us because she's been told we are toxic. Of course, she refused to be there when her grandparents were dying, as well as when we buried them. Even earlier this year, when my wife was going in for surgery, our daughter refused to communicate. I got word to her what was happening via work. It's just difficult for us to bear, especially this time of year. She left our home to be with her girlfriend's family, and they seem to have brainwashed her against us. Starting with proclaimed herself as gay, I do not even need to read anymore. Honestly, you said all you needed to say in that one statement right there. Once again, you are missing out a lot of context here. There's so much context missing. You haven't said why she is estranged. You haven't said why she's not talking to you, why she didn't attend her grandparents' funeral. You're just kind of putting the blame here. Like, she hates us. She's not talking to us. We haven't done anything wrong. She won't even come look after us when we're sick. It's like, well, what did you say to her? How did you treat her? What was your response to finding out she was queer? Because given the fact you are on this page, I feel as though that's going to play a part here. I feel as though if your love is conditional and it relies on her not being queer, she's not going to want to talk to you. And my bet is also on, there's probably been a decent amount of like emotional, mental manipulation that has existed prior to this event occurring. Like, I don't know, but my money is on that happening, especially when it's like, her girlfriend's family has brainwashed her against us. You mean just like giving her love and her realizing, oh, this is what love is meant to feel like. That's what I think happened. You've not given me context, so I have to provide my own. If you want me to not have these thoughts, tell me more about what happened. I also wanted to talk about this one comment that was on this post, which is, the hardest part of all of it is that you did nothing wrong. You loved her and provided for her. You continue to love her, and yet she left the only family she ever knew to be with people who could never love her as much as you. As difficult as it all is, I would think perhaps the best thing to do would be to give her a taste of her own medicine. Stop trying to make contact with her. Don't let her know what's going on in the family, because clearly she is acting like she doesn't care. Such a hard thing to do, but she needs to start missing you and wondering what's going on with her real family. I'm so very sorry you were going through this, but never stop praying for and over her. And this is so funny because they gave no context to this. They gave absolutely no context. They could have been physically abusive. They could have tried to beat the gay out of her. You don't know. They didn't say. That could be why their daughter doesn't talk to them anymore. And you're like, you did nothing wrong. You are perfect. You cannot say that when you have absolutely zero knowledge of the situation. They gave you nothing. You can't validate behavior that you don't know. Good advice there, though. You should stop talking to your kids. If your kids say, I don't want to talk to you, I don't want to be in your life, do stop talking to them. That's called respecting their boundaries. That's actually what you should be doing. And maybe you respecting that boundary will allow them to come back. Like, maybe they will be like, okay, you've learned boundaries. Let's have a conversation. And maybe it'll work out. Maybe it won't. It all depends on why you stopped talking to them and what you sort of go through a process while that happens. But stopping talking to them and respecting that boundary is the first step to trying to heal the relationship. So that's sound advice, not for the reason you gave it, but ultimately it's a good thing to do. Well, my 17-year-old is so disrespectful to me about me not using my transgender 23-year-old daughter male name and pronouns. Suggestions? My suggestion? Use the right pronouns and name. It's really that simple. I think that that's the appropriate thing to do here is just be respectful. And it's really going to solve all of your problems. So There's a couple comments on this one I wanted to talk about too, which are, tell her you will not lie because that is a sin. Tell her that science says that your DNA markers tell your gender and that this doesn't ever change, even if you do a sex change. Caitlyn Jenner's DNA marker test says that he is a male, not a female. Tell her that females have smaller lungs, smaller bones, and smaller organs than men, and these are all proven facts of science. And despite that you carried your daughter in your belly and can verify that God made her female in the womb and chose her to be a girl, and to say anything else is a lie. Let her know that you cannot say anything else because it's not true, and that she needs to respect your view even if she doesn't like it. Okay, why do you get to use science as an argument, but we're not allowed to use science as an argument? Firstly, science does support the existence of transgender people, so you're already straight off the bat wrong. Secondly, since when did you care about science? I'm pretty sure that that's typically not something you enjoy being brought up in arguments. I also am obsessed with the fact that you did use Caitlyn Jenner's correct name in an argument where they're like, I don't want to use my kid's chosen name. I want to use the name I gave them, and you completely were like, use the correct name, and trying to tell them to not do that. That's hilarious. Also, why does it only work one way, in which being like, God made them female, they can't change that, that's how they made them? Why can't it work as being like, God made them trans? Like, why do you get to choose where the line is drawn? Because I would really rather say, and it makes more sense to me, that God made them trans. You know, that makes sense. I don't know why you can't extend your belief past that point. A lot of Christians do extend their belief to that point now. Like, that makes sense. Like, if everything is God's will and they are trans and that's how they feel and that's what they want to live and that's what brings them joy and makes them happy, like, why are we not able to accept, like, God is what made them trans, God is what made them gay? Like, I don't understand how that's a difficult concept to grasp. And I also am just so obsessed with this argument of, like, men and women are different because women have smaller bones and smaller lungs. It's like, we are all actually different people, you know, like, on average, sure, these things might be true, but not necessarily. I'm taller than some men. There are some really tall women. There are some women who have, like, big lungs. Like, we're all different shapes and sizes. We all have a different amount of different hormones. We are all different people, which is why we say that gender is more of a spectrum, because there's not one way to exist. We aren't all the exact same carbon copy of one another. We're all different. We all have different bone density and organs and whatnot. So, like, irrelevant argument. And another comment is, I'm probably old school, but since you own the property and pay the bills, you get to decide what you do in your house. It may seem harsh, but when she has her own house, she can make her own rules and live how she wants to. There's zero respect in today's society, and it's obviously not for the better. You can say that you'll have to agree to disagree, but since it's your house, you don't want to discuss it any further. This is a surefire way to make your kid never talk to you again. Like, holding the fact that you provide them with necessary things above their head is just a way for them to hate you. Being like, well, you have to change who you are and follow my strict rules and be who I want you to be, because otherwise, you know, you can go live in your own house. I'm going to stop paying for your food and your bills, and I'm going to stop caring about you. Like, also, that implies that if they got their own house and they lived there, you would respect their decisions. If they move out and live in their own house, you then have to call them by the correct name and use the right pronouns in their house, because it's their house, their rules. And I doubt that that's going to happen. And it also means that they can call you whatever they want, because, you know, you don't get to choose. They can use whatever name, do whatever they want, and treat you however they want, because it's their house. But I doubt you're going to be very happy about that. This only ever works one way. You can't keep using this as an excuse and then acting as though you would respect it if it flipped on you, because you wouldn't. Hi, I'm new to this group. Our son went away to college, hung out with people who were bi, and intended to be a Christian influence. Instead, he went to therapy at college counselor and talked to a college professor about different beliefs, had a sexual relationship with a girl, and by the end of college, decided he had gender dysphoria. He talked to our pastor, decided to go ahead with online therapy with a pro-gender therapist, and is now living as a trans woman, has the hormone therapy, and has also had the bottom half surgery, sex change. She is now married just this week to her girlfriend, who is also a trans woman. So basically, basically 2 guys who decided to be female. We have talked till we were blue in the face as he was not raised this way. We have not disowned him, but call him by her new name as to keep a relationship with them. They moved away to another state even, and we will be seeing them as they come for Christmas, but so very stressful. Our hearts are broken. They eloped, which for me was a good thing as my beliefs don't allow me to attend a ceremony of any kind, but my hubby is upset that we weren't even invited. We will never be grandparents as our oldest son doesn't want any, and now the youngest, who is trans, will also not be having any and doesn't want any. It's so hard to watch our friends seem to have a normal family life and enjoy grandbabies. I've prayed for God to come to him in dreams, and he has, but this new identity she has taken on with a new name is a whole different person than who grew up in our house. We don't really know her anymore, and she's very much someone who used to think of others, but now only thinks of herself. I wouldn't say she's possessed, but the devil definitely has a foothold. I continue to pray. We continue to love her, but we definitely have mourned our son that she used to be. This is a nightmare for anyone to have to face. I believe love conquers all and prayer works. I know God has a plan still, but wondering if I'll ever see the fruit of the plan in my lifetime. One set of grandparents are supportive, the others are not. The ones who are live nearby, and the grandmother loves to make everything about herself, an attention getter, so she is trying over the top to look like a hero to make these young adults who just married, and it makes me sick. It also makes me look like I'm not as supportive, which I'm not, because I believe it is a sin. Stuck between a rock and a hard place. This Christmas I'm not looking forward to, which really sucks because Christmas was always my favorite. Just too stressed and sick on top of it all. Needing prayers and any advice is welcome. Though in the end, I have to wonder what's best for me to keep my sanity. Wonder what we ever did to deserve this. I know bad things happen to good people and we still love our kid no matter what, but I worry for his salvation. He was saved years ago and baptized, but he is now a she and living in sin. Bless you all who deal with transgender outbreak. This was all over the place. Oh my goodness. Firstly, I love that she used all the pronouns. It was he, him, then it was she, her, then it was they, them, back to she, her, back to he, him. Like it was every pronoun. And I love that when they were talking about like the present, like what's happening right now, it was switched naturally into the correct she, her pronouns. But I find it so interesting. A lot of this was, you know, like I love them. I will always love her no matter what. I will respect her, but I'm not going to agree with it and it's going to cause conflict. And then being like, it's so hard for me. I see everyone with these normal families and it's not mine. I wish this was me. And like making this whole thing entirely selfish about like, you wish your kids were a certain way because that would please you. And that's really not the point. You should just be happy that your kids are happy. This is the thing that like confuses me so much, is that you are bringing this misery upon yourself by like caring too much about your children's personal life in ways that it like doesn't affect you. I just like don't get it, because so many of these parents in this group are supportive to their kids' faces, and then yeah, they come on here and they're like, it's so difficult for me, it's so hard, they're sinning and I want them to move away from this life of sin. I understand that to them being queer is damning and they are concerned for their children. They are concerned that like, you know, if their kids are queer, they're going to end up going to hell, and that scares them, it worries them. They don't want that fate for their children. They want their children to live a life free of sin so that they can ascend to heaven after they die and have like a good afterlife. So a lot of this does come from a place of love and fear, which I understand. Like I get it, but at the same time, it like really confuses me, because like I haven't been around Christian people really at all my entire life. Like there were a few Christians I knew at high school, but they're really quiet about it because not very many people are Christian. So any Christians I knew like kept it on the down low. I didn't know one of my friends were Christian until I was 2 years into the friendship, because they're in such a minority. So my first interactions really with like Christians who are very vocal about it wasn't until uni, when like half my class were Christians. And even then, all of them were still totally like chill with being queer. Like a couple of them were queer themselves, and then the rest of them were like very supportive of being queer. They have a lot of queer friends, myself included, obviously, and like that's never been an issue for them. So obviously a lot of churches and places of worship are inclusive. In year 9 we studied religion, and we went to different, you know, places of worship for different religions. Like we went to a synagogue, we went to a mosque, we went to a church, we went to a cathedral, whatever, and we got to like talk to the ministers or whatever they're all called. At every single place we went to, someone would ask, one of their questions would be, do you support gay marriage? Do you do gay weddings here? What are your thoughts on that? And every single one we went to was like, yes, we perform those here. We view, you know, God made you that way and we will support you in that, blah, blah, blah. And so like, you know, a lot of places of worship now are inclusive of being queer. And like, to me, it makes most sense that like, you know, if your child comes out as queer and that scares you and you have all these views of it, and your kid is like struggling and wants your love and support, like, I personally, makes the most sense to me is to go and look at these inclusive churches, to go and like look at these places and sort of like see what it is about them that makes them inclusive. Like, you are currently attending a place that is telling you actively this is a sin, because that is the way they have interpreted the Bible. That is the way that they teach the Bible, and they have told you that that is correct. But if other people are within the same religion, hold a different way of viewing it, surely you would take it upon yourself to go and be like, I wonder why they view it differently. I wonder how this is different to them. I want to know how they're interpreting this and why they're interpreting it this way. Because like, if that is a possibility and you see people doing it, like, why have you decided that that is incorrect? You know, I understand it comes down to like, you know, religious brainwashing and whatever, but like, a lot of Christian parents and a lot of queer Christian children will then, you know, look into reading the Bible in a different way and trying to, you know, like read it in a different light, because like everyone kind of reads it in the way that is the most convenient to them, you know, like that's not really a secret, really, right? There's so many different ways to interpret different things and to teach different things. And I just think it's really worth trying to open your mind. Like, you don't have to lose your faith in order to be supportive of your child. You don't have to like lose your faith over this, you know? And like, if there are alternative ways to interpret it and to learn about it, like, I don't understand why you don't take it upon yourself to try to expand your view of the Bible and to expand your view of your own faith so that you can be supportive and still keep your faith and even like enjoy it more and have more room for love in your heart while still maintaining that, you know? I don't know why you would like have your kid come out as queer and just accept that, oh my God, they're gonna go to hell. Oh my God, they're gonna be punished for this. Instead of being like, my kid is wonderful. I love my kid. It doesn't make sense that they would be punished. And then trying to sort of like find answers, you know? Like, you're falling back on the status quo instead of like expanding what you could believe in. I'm obviously not religious, so I can't really speak on it, I suppose, in how it feels, but I don't know, I know a lot of people do that, and I don't know why more people don't do that. It would also mean that your kid is more likely to maintain a faith in God as well. If you are able to view religion in a way that is accepting of them and you help them learn that new way, they are more likely to stick to their faith rather than leaving it. And I know that that's what you want for them. If you open up your mind and your heart, it's more likely that everyone is going to get what they want. Please pray for my son. I thought I had more time. I thought when he told me he was trans a month ago that there would be more conversations and therapy. He's only had 4 counseling sessions. He's at Planned Parenthood now. He told me he was thinking an ADHD diagnosis. I was going to surprise him for his birthday and see where he was. I just spoke to him. He has the prescriptions. He said they told him the breast tissue would be irreversible. Sperm count decrease may come back, but they don't want kids anyway, and if they do, they can adopt. I asked him, is he going to cut us out if we can't get on board? And he said it will hurt him every time we don't affirm him. But that's our choice. So basically we are at an impasse because I told him if he chooses the road, he's essentially cutting us out of his life. Using they don't want kids implies that they're in a long-term relationship, because I really doubt you're using gender-neutral pronouns here. Like, that just doesn't track. So this assumes that they're an adult who is in a long-term relationship and very much has the capacity to be independent of you, which, good for them. I'm glad that they're in that position right now because it seems to be very beneficial for them. So like, this is an adult who has finally come to terms with who they are and is able to take the steps in that process to finally be comfortable within themselves. And clearly they want their parents in their life. They just want, you know, supportive and loving parents. And if that's not going to be them, they don't need them. They can be independent. And I love being like, if you go down this path, you will be cutting us off. No, you are the one that will be cutting them off because you don't agree with their choices. Like, they are leaving the door open. They are making a decision for themselves because, you know, it's their life and they are going to make the choice that makes them the most happy and the most comfortable and allow them to live life to the fullest in the best capacity that they can. And if you don't like that choice and that means you're going to stop talking to them, that is your decision. That's your decision. You can absolutely keep a relationship with your kid. You can absolutely stay in their life. They're not cutting you out. You're choosing to leave. Don't put this on them. Don't be like, you make a decision for your happiness. That's affecting me and upsetting me. So how dare you cut me out? Like, that's on you, man. You're making that choice. The hardest thing for me is to see my 12-year-old grandson being supported and encouraged to pretend he's a girl. His own mother, my daughter, calls him she. It's heartbreaking. It feels like child abuse that I can't say anything about. Fortunately, he has not done puberty blockers or anything yet. I'm praying he'll come back to himself. It is so funny that these people call pronouns that you disagree with child abuse. Like, using she, her pronouns is child abuse, but being manipulative and controlling and not allowing your child to step outside of any box that you have decided they have to be in, that's totally fine. That is good parenting. That is loving. That is nurturing. Doing something that makes them happy, that has absolutely no negative impacts at all, abuse. Are you okay? I would love you to show me how this causes any damage at all. Maybe she'll change her mind. Maybe at some point in her life in the future, she'll be like, actually, I don't want to use she, her pronouns. I want to use he, him pronouns or they, them pronouns. And that's fine. They can do that. That's absolutely an option. And using she, her pronouns for whatever period of time is not actually going to cause any lasting impact. It's just being respectful and making your kid happy with no negative impacts. However, refusing to do that and forcing your kid to be someone they don't want to be and be uncomfortable and feel just like they're being disrespected, that is going to have a negative impact. That at some point does become abusive because you start being controlling and manipulative about it. If you're forcing your kid to be someone they aren't, or like threatening them or anything along those lines because they aren't fitting into some box that you want them to, you're a bad parent. This is the correct thing you should be doing. In no way, shape, or form is this abuse. I can't think of a single way you could spin this into being abuse. I need you to calm down, take a deep breath, and like reel it in a little bit. And with that, I think I'm going to finish it here. I hope that you enjoyed having these conversations and a look into this wonderful Facebook group. I'll be sure to infiltrate some more Facebook groups in the coming months because I do really enjoy going through them. They are such an interesting place. So I will be back for more of these. Basically, yeah, conclusion being, like, be supportive of your kid because the choices they make with their life don't actually affect you, but the way you respond to them really affects them. You should want your kids to be happy. You should want them to feel loved and supported. No matter what you do, they aren't going to stop being queer. You can either choose to love them or you can choose to not, but one way is going to cause them a lot more pain than the other. But either way, they are still going to be queer. You get to choose if you want to be a part of their life or not. That is up to you. I promise it is much harder on them than it is on you. So, you know, keep that in mind and maybe try to be more open-minded in the future. So yeah, let me know if there's any more Facebook groups you want me to infiltrate that you have heard of because they are fun and I would love to go into some more. So if you've heard of any good ones, let me know in the comments below. And while you're down there, don't forget to hit subscribe. I am here 3 times a week presently, Sundays and Fridays for some sort of long videos. And then every Wednesday I'm here with just a short fun Reddit video. So, you know, if you're interested in any of that, hit subscribe and I'll see you in a few days. A massive thank you to my Sprout and Above patrons whose names are up on the screen right now. And a huge thank you to my Kiwi Cat patrons. M.A. Ping the Games, Blue Kitsune 24, Ash, It's Craiglow, Phil the Duck, Jessie, Phenomenally, River, Mr. Noodle, Queen Glimmer, Ella, Lady Nutbar, Radsack, Knitting Menace, Chris, Ellie, and Bobby. I love and appreciate you so much. Thank you so much for joining. If anyone else would like to come on Patreon, you go to patreon.com/savvycat or click the top link in the description. For as little as £1 a month, you get my videos a day early, and then for £3 and up, you get things such as outtakes, bonus mini podcasts, live streams, vlogs, and more. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram, TikTok, and Blue Sky, The Queer Kiwi, and Twitter, That Queer Kiwi. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Stay safe. Keep fighting. I love you. Mwah.